Hey everybody, Mr. Bucko here with a couple of examples for Power Standards Quiz 15, 16, and 17. The first problem I have up on the screen here is from Power Standards Quiz 15, where you have to write an equation in slope-intercept form given 2 points. So we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line passing through these 2 points. And if we're going to write an equation for a line, we need to know the slope of that line. And if we're given 2 points, we can find the slope by using the slope formula. And we also want to know the slope-intercept form for an equation. And the slope-intercept form for an equation is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept, and then x and y are all of the points that lie on the line. They can be pretty much anything. And 2 of those points happen to be right here. And if we're given 2 of those points, we can find the slope. So I'm going to take those 2 points and find the slope. I'm going to do the difference of the y's, 3 minus negative 1, divided by the difference of the x's, negative 4 minus negative 5. So I have the difference of the y's divided by the difference of the x's. 3 minus negative 1 divided by negative 4 minus negative 5. When I do that subtraction, I get 4 over 1. 3 minus negative 1 is 4. Negative 4 minus negative 5 is positive 1. So the slope of this line that contains these 2 points is 4 over 1, or just 4. So we can say the slope is 4 or 4 over 1. And this implies that m, the value of m, is 4, because m represents the slope. Now we have the slope, we now need to find the y-intercept of the equation. And to find the y-intercept, we are going to use the information that we have and the information that we found. We know that the slope is 4, so m can be plugged in, or 4 can be plugged in for m. And then we have a couple x and y's. We have an x and y here, in negative 5, negative 1, and we have an x and y here, in negative 4, 3. So what I'm going to do is pick one of those points. I picked the point negative 4, 3. And I'm plugging that in now for the x and the y. I know that an x value is negative 4, so I'm going to take this negative 4 and plug it in for x. And I know that the corresponding y value that goes with that negative 4 is 3, so I'm going to take this 3 and plug it in for y. And I get this equation. This negative 4 is the y value, equals m is the slope. This 4 comes from the slope that we found, times 3, the x value from the point that I chose, and then plus b is our y-intercept, which we are solving for. Now when I look at this equation here, I can do 4 times 3. I know what that is. That's 12. So now this equation becomes negative 4 equals 12 plus b. And if I have negative 4 equals 12 plus b, this becomes a one-step equation where I can subtract 12 on both sides and get negative 16. So negative 16 is b. And if I'm going to write an equation in slope-intercept form, I need to know the slope and the y-intercept. And now I have both of those pieces of information. I have the slope, which is 4, and I have the y-intercept, b, which is negative 16. So now I'm going to take those 2 values and plug them into the slope-intercept form of an equation, which will become y equals 4x minus 16. So the equation for the line passing through these 2 points is y equals 4x minus 16. Example from Power Standards Quiz 16 here, where we're taking an equation now in slope-intercept form and graphing it. So if we look at this equation here, I know what the y-intercept of this equation is. The y-intercept of this equation is 3, because 3 is in the place of b. And if I look at these graphs here, I can immediately eliminate one of these graphs, and I'm going to eliminate this graph right here. And the reason I can eliminate this graph right away is because this line has a y-intercept of 5. So this graph cannot be the answer because this graph has a y-intercept of 5. Notice the remaining graphs have a y-intercept of 3. This y-intercept is 3. This y-intercept is 3. This y-intercept is 3. So all these are still in the running for being potential lines for this equation given the y-intercept. So now we turn to the slope, and the slope is 1/2. The slope is positive 1/2. So if I know anything about positive slopes, I can eliminate another one of these. because one of these lines does not have a positive slope, and that would be this graph right here. This line going from left to right is going downward, so this is a negative slope. So this line does not have a slope of positive 1/2 because this is a negative slope, so I can eliminate that graph. This cannot be right either because of the fact that it has a negative slope and the line we're looking for has a positive slope. So we're down to 2 more. And now we're going to have to look at slope for what it represents in terms of rise over run. This slope has a rise of 1 and a run of 2. So I'm going to pick a point, just start at the y-intercept, and if I rise 1, and I'm going to go up 1 because it's positive 1, and then I'm going to go right 2 because it's positive 2. If I go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, I end up on the line. If I go up 1, right 2, I end up on the line. So that certainly seems like it worked. Let's just try the top one real quick. If I go up 1, right 2, I am not on the line. So therefore, this graph cannot be the line for the equation 1/2 x plus 3 because that slope doesn't work. If we go up 1, right 2, we're not on the line anymore. This right here will be our answer for this equation, y equals 1/2 x plus 3. And Power Standards Quiz 17, where we're writing equations or inequalities in standard form here, where we have a couple of copiers here. The first copier, type X, is $120, and type Y is $80, and the store that's buying these printers cannot have more than $1,200 in printer inventory, so they cannot spend more than that. So I'm going to say which inequality in standard form describes all the possible values of X and Y. Standard form is AX plus BY equals or less than or greater to or less than some value C. A couple of these equations are not in standard form. This equation right here is not in standard form. This equation is in slope-intercept form. So D can't be our answer simply because it's not in standard form. And we're asked to find the equation in standard form. Another one of these is also not in standard form. C is not in standard form. That is in point-slope form. So that cannot be the answer just because it's not in the form that we're asked to find the equation. So we're down to 2. And both of these are in standard form. We have AX, some number times X, plus some number times Y is equal to some constant number. Both of these are in standard form. Some number times X plus some number times Y equals a constant number. So now we have to look at the values in which we're given. So type X is $120. So how many ever copies we make with type X, we're going to have to pay $120. So we're going to take that value and multiply it by $120. And similarly with type Y costs $80. So how many ever copies we make with type Y, we're going to multiply by 80. So if we look at these two, and we'll notice that those values are switched around. We're either multiplying 120 times X or we're multiplying 80 times X, and vice versa with the Y values. So if we say that type X is $120, we're going to do 120 times X and then 80 times Y. And notice this value here, whatever that total amount that we're spending, has to be less than or equal to $1,200 because we can't spend any more than that. So based on that, we are going to say that A is the answer. B is not the answer because we're not multiplying the appropriate values, and A will be our answer for this problem.